In 1944, Olivia De Havilland did something no actor had ever dared. She sued Warner Brothers and won, but that was just the beginning of her secrets. From her explosive feuds with her own sister to her shocking relationship with Howard Hughes, Good Girl had everyone fooled. Today, we're uncovering the truth about the woman who outsmarted Hollywood for over 7 decades. Olivia De Havilland was born on July 1, 1916 in Tokyo, Japan. Her British parents, Walter and Lillian, had moved to Japan for work. Walter was a professor and patent attorney, and Lillian was a former actress who had given up her career to raise a family. They lived in a big Western-style house surrounded by traditional Japanese homes. Olivia grew up hearing temple bells alongside her mother's English songs and seeing cherry blossoms mixed with British tea rituals. But their family life was already falling apart. Walter and Lillian's marriage was strained. Walter was rumored to be unfaithful, and Lillian struggled with life in a foreign country. Things got worse when Walter suggested sending Olivia to live with a Japanese family to learn the culture. Lillian refused and decided to leave Japan with her daughters. In 1919, she secretly boarded a ship to San Francisco with Olivia and her baby sister Joan, leaving Walter behind for good. Life in California was not easy. Lillian was now a single mother raising 2 girls in a new country. She chose to settle in Saratoga, a small town south of San Francisco, hoping the fresh air would help Joan, who was often sick. To support her family, Lillian began teaching drama, using skills from her acting days. Olivia loved watching her mother's lessons and soon discovered a passion for performing. At school, Olivia's love for acting grew. When she was 14, her teacher cast her as the lead in Alice in Wonderland. The experience was magical for Olivia. On stage, she felt free, like she was truly living in the story. But her stepfather, George Fontaine, did not share her enthusiasm. He thought acting was a waste of time and demanded she quit. Olivia refused. When he gave her an ultimatum, quit acting or leave home, she chose to leave. She moved in with family friends and kept acting in school and local theater. Her determination paid off. At 18, Olivia played Hermia in A Midsummer Night's Dream in a local production. Among the audience was an assistant to renowned director Max Reinhardt, scouting for talent for an upcoming Hollywood Bowl production of the same play. The assistant was impressed and offered Olivia the position of second understudy for the role of Hermia. It was pure luck. Just a week before the premiere, both the lead actress and the first understudy dropped out. Olivia stepped in and delivered a stunning performance on September 15, 1934. Reinhardt was so impressed that he not only included her in the tour that followed. Soon after, Reinhardt got the job of directing a film version of A Midsummer Night's Dream for Warner Brothers. He picked Olivia for the role of Hermia. She hesitated at first. Her dream was to become a teacher. But Reinhardt and a Warner Brothers producer convinced her to sign a 5-year contract. At just $200 a week, it wasn't a fortune, but it was the start of a Hollywood career that would change her life. Being a newcomer in Hollywood wasn't easy. Even her early screen tests were stressful. During her first test for A Midsummer Night's Dream, her dress didn't fit and almost fell apart. She had to pin it together herself just to get through the audition. Then there was her voice. The studio thought it sounded too soft and slow, so they hired a coach to make her sound more American. It didn't work. Luckily, Reinhardt liked her voice just the way it was. Her big moment came in 1935, when she starred in the film version of A Midsummer Night's Dream. The production was massive for its time, with a huge budget and a star-filled premiere. Olivia was nervous at the event. She even tripped on her dress on the red carpet, but her performance wowed critics. Suddenly, she was in demand. Then her career truly took off in 1935, when she was paired with Errol Flynn in Captain Blood. Olivia was just 19 years old, and Flynn, a relatively unknown 26-year-old, was cast at the last minute after another actor dropped out. Flynn had barely any acting experience, but Warner Brothers took a gamble on him, and it paid off. From the moment the cameras rolled, the chemistry between Olivia and Flynn was electric. They had a playful energy and charm that audiences couldn't resist. When Captain Blood hit theaters, it was an instant hit, earning over $1.35 million. A huge success back then. Critics loved their performances, and their newfound stardom seemed effortless. Although Olivia later admitted she had a crush on Flynn, he was married at the time, so their connection stayed strictly professional. Still, that unspoken tension between them made their on-screen partnership even more exciting. The success of Captain Blood launched a series of films that paired Olivia and Flynn together. Over 6 years, they starred in 8 movies, including The Adventures of Robin Hood in 1938, where Olivia played Maid Marian and Flynn took on the role of Robin Hood. This movie was a huge milestone. Shot in vibrant Technicolor, it became one of the biggest hits of its time, earning $4 million at the box office and winning 3 Academy Awards. Audiences loved their dynamic duo, and their performances cemented them as one of Hollywood's most beloved on-screen pairs. Their final movie together, They Died with Their Boots On, 1941, ended with a touching moment. Flynn's character says to Olivia's, "Walking through life with you, ma'am, has been a very gracious thing." It felt like a goodbye, not just for their characters, but also for their legendary partnership. While Olivia was thriving in her films with Flynn, she was also pursuing bigger opportunities. Her big break came with Gone with the Wind in 1939. Olivia desperately wanted the role of Melanie Hamilton, but Warner Brothers refused to loan her out to the film's producers. Not one to give up, Olivia went directly to Jack Warner's wife, Anne, and convinced her to help. Thanks to Anne's influence, Olivia got the part, and it changed her life. When Gone with the Wind premiered, it became a cultural phenomenon, earning over $32 million, an unheard of amount at the time. Olivia's performance as the kind and gentle Melanie earned her an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actress. Though she didn't win, the recognition solidified her as one of Hollywood's top talents. After Gone with the Wind, Olivia's career skyrocketed. She wasn't just Errol Flynn's co-star anymore. She was a leading actress in her own right. She took on more challenging roles, moving away from the innocent character she had often played. One of her standout performances was in Hold Back the Dawn, 1941, where she earned another Oscar nomination, this time for Best Actress. Though she lost to her sister Joan Fontaine, Olivia proved she was here to stay. By the early 1940s, Olivia was one of the highest-paid stars in Hollywood, earning $400,000 a year, a fortune for the time. But with her success came frustration. Back then, Hollywood studios controlled everything about their stars' lives, what movies they acted in, how they appeared in public, and sometimes even their personal decisions. If actors refused to follow orders, studios could punish them. For Olivia, this meant being suspended without pay if she turned down a role. Worse, those suspensions didn't just leave her without income. They also added extra time to her contract. This trick kept actors under studio control for much longer than the original agreement. Between 1939 and 1943, Olivia spent 25 weeks suspended. One of these punishments happened in 1942 when she refused to star in a movie called Gentleman Jim. The role went to another actress, but Warner Brothers still extended her contract. She also had to give up other big roles like in The Gay Sisters and George Washington Slept Here. The constant battles made her feel trapped, and by 1943, she had enough. Olivia thought she had fulfilled her 7 years, but Warner Brothers has claimed she still owed them 6 months because of all the suspension time. She decided to fight back. She found a lawyer, Martin Gang, who discovered an old California law that said no contract for personal services could last more than 7 years. No one had ever used this law against a Hollywood studio before, but Olivia was ready to take the risk. In August 1943, she sued Warner Brothers. This was a daring move. At the time, no actor had ever stood up to a major studio like this and won. Olivia couldn't work during the lawsuit, so she lived off her savings and spent her time volunteering at military hospitals, visiting wounded soldiers. Warner Brothers tried to make her look bad, calling her spoiled and ungrateful. But Olivia stayed calm. When asked in court if she had refused to work, she simply said, "I declined." Her grace impressed everyone. In March 1944, the court sided with Olivia. They ruled that Warner Brothers couldn't extend her contract beyond 7 calendar years. The studio appealed, but in December 1944, the California Court of Appeals upheld the decision, saying the studio's actions were unfair and even likened them to slavery. When the California Supreme Court refused to take the case, Olivia's victory became final. This was a huge moment in Hollywood history. For years, studios had been able to control actors completely, but Olivia's case changed everything. Her win meant that no studio could hold an actor beyond 7 years, no matter what. Actors suddenly had more freedom to choose their roles and negotiate better deals. For example, in 1979, Olivia Newton-John used the law to extricate herself from her recording contract with MCA Records. Although the lawsuit kept Olivia off the screen for 2 years, it didn't ruin her career. In 1946, she returned with a bang, acting in To Each His Own. She played Jodie Norris, a young woman who falls in love, has a child out of wedlock, and gives him up to be raised by someone else. The story follows her life as she builds a successful business and later reunites with her son during World War II. Olivia had to show Jodie's journey from a hopeful teenager to a wise older woman full of regret and strength. Her performance was so moving that she won her first Oscar for it in 1947. This one was a big deal. It wasn't just about the award, but about proving that her fight for better roles had been worth it. Then came The Snake Pit in 1948, a film that shocked audiences. Olivia played Virginia Cunningham, a woman with mental illness who ends up in a psychiatric hospital without remembering how she got there. The film didn't hold back, showing what life inside these hospitals was really like. Overcrowded rooms, harsh treatments, and dehumanizing conditions. Olivia took the role seriously. She spent time in mental hospitals watching how patients behaved and even went through a simulated electroshock therapy session to understand what her character felt. Her performance was haunting and heartfelt, and people couldn't stop talking about it. The Snake Pit wasn't just a film. It made a difference in real life. People started paying attention to the poor conditions in mental health care, and laws in 13 states were changed because of its impact. Critics praised Olivia's performance, and she won the prestigious Volpe Cup at the Venice Film Festival. Although some people felt the film exaggerated things, it was still a massive success and cemented Olivia's place as one of the greatest actresses of her time. Olivia De Havilland reached the height of her career with The Heiress in 1949. In the film, she played Catherine Sloper, a shy and awkward young woman living in 1840s New York. To play Catherine, Olivia completely changed how she looked. She gained weight and styled her hair in a plain, unattractive way to fit the role. On set, things were tough. Ralph Richardson used a traditional acting style, while Montgomery Clift was intense and emotional, using the new method technique. Olivia felt stuck in the middle, but she used this tension to make Catherine's struggles feel real. When the movie came out, critics and audiences loved it. At the Oscars in 1950, Olivia won her second Academy Award for Best Actress. She kept her speech short, thanking the director, William Wyler, and leaving the stage. This one cemented her place as one of Hollywood's greatest stars. After The Heiress, Olivia didn't settle for easy or glamorous roles. She wanted characters with depth and challenges. In 1952, she starred in My Cousin Rachel, playing a mysterious woman who might be kind or might be evil. Olivia made sure her acting left the audience guessing. She even read the book multiple times to fully understand the character. In the years that followed, she took on more unique roles, including women dealing with mental health struggles. In The Ambassador's Daughter and Light in the Piazza, she showed her ability to handle sensitive topics with care. Olivia also appeared on television, starring in live dramas and later earning awards for her role in the 1986 miniseries, Anastasia, The Mystery of Anna. Even as she grew older, Olivia never stopped challenging herself. She turned down roles she didn't find interesting, including Blanche DuBois in A Streetcar Named Desire. She also surprised audiences by starring in Lady in a Cage, a shocking thriller in 1964. The movie was controversial, but critics for her powerful performance. Throughout her career, Olivia refused to take the easy path. She was determined to prove she was more than just a pretty face. Her bold choices and dedication to her craft made her one of the most respected and talented actresses of her time. And there's another important character in her real life, which is her younger sister, Joan. Born only 15 months apart, the sisters had competed since childhood. Olivia was often called the pretty one, while Joan was the smart one. The comparisons fueled jealousy and rivalry. Their fights were legendary. Once, Olivia reportedly pushed Joan into a pool, breaking her collarbone. Joan later admitted that, as a child, she had even thought about hurting Olivia in revenge. As they grew older, the rivalry didn't stop. Both sisters dreamed of becoming actresses, but their mother insisted only one could pursue acting professionally. Olivia, being older, got her start first. Joan followed soon after, determined to prove she was just as talented. Their stepfather, George Fontaine, made things worse by constantly comparing them. He turned their childhood into a battle for attention and praise. By the time Joan was 16, she had enough. She moved to Tokyo to live with their biological father, hoping to escape Olivia's shadow. But when Joan came back to America 2 years later, their rivalry picked up right where it left off. Joan was now a confident young woman with dreams of becoming an actress, just like Olivia. The stage was set for a lifelong competition. Their professional rivalry exploded in Hollywood. Olivia became famous in 1939 for her role in Gone with the Wind. Not long after, Joan landed the lead in Alfred Hitchcock's Rebecca in 1940, a role Olivia had wanted. This competition for big roles and fame never stopped. In 1941, it reached a boiling point when both sisters were nominated for the Academy Award for Best Actress. While Joan was up for suspicion, on Oscar night, all eyes were on the sisters. When Joan's name was announced as the winner, the tension between them was impossible to ignore. Some say Olivia refused to congratulate Joan, while others claim Joan turned her back on Olivia's attempts to make peace. Whatever the truth, the moment drove an even deeper wedge between them. The rivalry didn't stay on the screen. It spilled into their personal lives. In 1946, Joan made a cruel comment about Olivia's new husband, Marcus Goodrich. "All I know about him is that he's had 4 wives and written 1 book. Too bad it's not the other way around." Olivia was furious and stopped speaking to Joan for years. They also took jabs at each other in interviews. Joan once said, "I'm married first, won the Oscar before Olivia did, and if I die first, she'll be mad because I beat her to it." Their feud wasn't just private. It became public entertainment. The Oscars brought another famous moment of drama between them in 1947. Olivia won Best Actress for To Each His Own, and Joan went to congratulate her. But Olivia turned away, ignoring Joan's outstretched hand. The snub was caught on camera and splashed across newspapers, cementing their reputation as Hollywood's feuding sisters. Even at their mother's funeral in 1975, their rivalry showed no signs of fading. Joan accused Olivia of keeping her in the dark about their mother's death, which led to another public spat. Olivia denied the accusations, calling Joan's claims unnecessary drama. Their last public appearance together was at the 1978 Academy Awards, but it didn't bring them any closer. Joan passed away in 2013 at the age of 96, and Olivia released a brief statement saying she was saddened by the news. Olivia outlived Joan by almost 7 years, passing away in 2020 at 104. Despite their achievements, their lifelong feud often overshadowed their successes. In the end, the true story of their relationship stayed with them, leaving fans to wonder what really happened between the two sisters. Olivia De Havilland's life off-screen was just as fascinating as her Hollywood career. In 1939, she met Howard Hughes, the famous and eccentric billionaire. Howard was determined to win her over, and made grand, surprising gestures to impress her. One day, he even landed his private plane on a beach near her house, which shocked the people nearby. Howard also gave Olivia expensive gifts, including a beautiful 5-carat emerald engagement ring. But their relationship wasn't happy for long. Howard was very controlling. Olivia believed he was spying on her, and she thought he had even tapped her phone. The worst moment came when Howard got into a serious car accident and somehow blamed Olivia for it, saying it happened because she wouldn't go to the dentist with him. That was enough for Olivia. She ended the relationship by giving back all the gifts, including the emerald ring, right in his hospital room. It was a bold move, and it showed how strong she was. A sweeter chapter in Olivia's life came when she dated Jimmy Stewart in the late 1930s. They started seeing each other when Jimmy took Olivia to the Gone with the Wind premiere in 1939. Unlike many Hollywood romances, theirs was simple and fun. Jimmy was a pilot, and he even gave Olivia flying lessons. She loved flying with him and admired how skilled he was, but their relationship didn't last long. Both of their careers were taking off, and in 1941, Jimmy joined the military as World War II approached. Although they didn't stay together, Olivia and Jimmy stayed friends for the rest of their lives. Years later, she turned down a role in It's a Wonderful Life because she thought it would be awkward to act alongside her ex-boyfriend. The most passionate and dramatic relationship of Olivia's life was with director John Huston. They fell for each other in 1941 while working on the movie In This Our Life. John was married, but the two couldn't stay apart. Their romance became the talk of Hollywood, especially since Olivia had a reputation as sweet and proper. By the end of filming, they were living together openly, which shocked many people. John was wild, though. He drank a lot and had a reputation for being with many women. Their relationship was full of ups and downs. One of the most intense moments happened years later at a party when Errol Flynn, Olivia's former co-star, made a rude comment about her. John got so angry that he fought Errol, and the fight became violent. Both men ended up in the hospital, Errol with broken ribs and John with a broken nose and other injuries. Olivia De Havilland married Marcus Goodrich on August 26, 1946, marking her first step into married life. Marcus, a Navy veteran, journalist, and author, was 18 years older than Olivia and had already been married 4 times. Their marriage didn't start well. Marcus had a bad temper and tried to control Olivia, which didn't suit her independent nature. Still, in 1949, they had a son, Benjamin. Olivia loved being a mother and focused all her energy on raising him. She wanted to make it work, but her life with Marcus grew harder. She felt trapped by the vows she'd made during their church wedding. Even though she thought about divorce, it seemed impossible. She talked to a priest, hoping for guidance, but nothing changed. Eventually, it became too much. In 1952, Olivia decided she couldn't live with Marcus anymore. She filed for divorce, saying he had been mentally cruel. By 1953, their marriage was officially over. The experience left Olivia heartbroken, but she stayed strong for Benjamin. He became the most important part of her life, and she worked hard to give him a stable home. A few years later, Olivia met Pierre Galanti, an editor at Paris Match, during the 1953 Cannes Film Festival. They fell in love, and in 1955, Olivia married him. She moved to Paris, where she built a new life, far from Hollywood. Olivia loved the change. She learned French, embraced the culture, and became part of Parisian society. In 1956, she and Pierre had a daughter, Giselle. Olivia was happy to raise her in France, away from the pressures of fame. But this marriage had its struggles too. Pierre's busy job often kept him away, and they didn't always see eye to eye. By 1962, they decided to separate. Surprisingly, they didn't divorce. Olivia later said she liked the idea of staying together by choice, not by law, and co-parented Giselle. When Pierre became ill in the 1990s, Olivia took care of him until he passed away in 1998. Her loyalty and kindness showed the deep bond they still shared. Olivia's children were always her top priority. She adored Benjamin, her son from her first marriage. She once said, "Benjamin is the most important thing in my life." When he was diagnosed with cancer as a teenager, she stood by him every step of the way. She took him to treatments and tried everything to help him recover. Sadly, Benjamin passed away in 1991 at the age of 41. Olivia was devastated, calling it the most terrible thing that has ever happened to me. Her daughter Giselle, born during her second marriage, grew up in France. Olivia worked hard to give her a normal life. She wanted Giselle to have her own identity, not just be seen as Olivia De Havilland's daughter. They were close, though Giselle sometimes struggled with her mother's fame. Olivia encouraged her to be independent and value education. Later, when Giselle had children of her own, Olivia found joy in being a grandmother. She once said, "Being a grandmother is even better than being a mother. You get all the fun without the responsibility." At 101 years old, Olivia De Havilland wasn't done fighting. On June 30th, 2017, one day before her 101st birthday, she surprised everyone by filing a lawsuit against FX Networks and the producers of Feud, Bet, and Joan. The show had portrayed her, played by Catherine Zeta-Jones, as someone who gossiped about others. Olivia felt this was completely wrong and didn't match her real-life personality. She was especially upset about scenes where her character called her sister, Joan Fontaine, a bitch and made rude comments about Frank Sinatra. Olivia had spent her life being private and respectful, so this portrayal hurt her deeply. She took the case to court, saying the show had caused her emotional pain and damaged her reputation. She also believed they should have asked her permission to use her likeness and paid her for it. The case raised a big question. How much freedom should filmmakers have when portraying real people, especially those still alive? At first, Olivia had a small victory. A judge said her case could go to trial. FX appealed the decision, and a higher court ruled against her in 2018, saying the show was protected by freedom of speech. Olivia's legal team tried to take the fight to the highest courts, but they wouldn't hear the case. Even though she lost, Olivia's bold move showed her strength and determination, even at 101. For decades, Olivia had lived a quiet and glamorous life in Paris, where she moved in 1953 after marrying a French journalist, Pierre Galandi. Her home was elegant, filled with memories of her Hollywood days, including her 2 Oscars. She loved hosting small gatherings with friends and cultural figures, blending old Hollywood charm with European sophistication. Paris wasn't just a city to her. It was her sanctuary. When Olivia passed away on July 26, 2020, at the age of 104, it marked the end of Hollywood's golden age. She was the last big star from that era, and her death closed a chapter in movie history. In her later years, Olivia was celebrated with some of the most prestigious honors in the world. At 92, she received the National Medal of Arts from President George W. Bush, recognizing her amazing contributions to film. 2 years later, France awarded her the Legion of Honor, their highest decoration for her role in the arts and her long connection to Paris. In 2017, just before turning 101, Queen Elizabeth II made Olivia a dame, the oldest person ever to receive that honor. This recognized not only her British-American heritage, but also her immense influence. Hollywood also remembered her achievements. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences held special tributes to her, celebrating her work and her bold stand against the Hollywood studio system in the 1940s. Olivia had won a famous legal battle in 1944 that gave actors more freedom and control over their careers, something that changed the industry forever.